seeing as we have many different nationalities
here, how would you describe to them what Mashujaa is and what the day represents in Kenya?
Good morning, everyone, and happy Mashujaa Day. We say Mashujaa Day, and I hope we all know Mashujaa is a Swahili word that means heroes. So when it's one, we say Shujaa. Kenya attained independence in 1963, and since then we have always celebrated on the 20th of October what we called Kenyatta Day. But as the time has moved, we knew, only we hadn't effected it, that in as much as the late president, the first president of this country, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, played a big role in the attainment of independence in our country, he was not the only one who had played a role. There were many Kenyans, some of whom history did not record, some people like my own grandmother who sacrificed her children to go and fight in the Mau Mau War, others who played major roles that were not recorded in history. And so the country decided that we need to recognize all these Kenyans who had sacrificed. And that is the essence of a Shujaa. A Shujaa is somebody who sacrifices personal benefit, personal privilege for the sake of community, for the sake of others. Now I know we'd all want to be heroes, but what you must realize is that for one to be a hero, there has to be great sacrifice. And it also means that the community, the society, the world may be going through something that is terrible. And it requires sometimes just one brave person to say that I will stand up. I will fight for this. I will seek, I will strive to change this. And that becomes the hero. Because that hero does what the whole society would want to do, but perhaps lacks the courage. So number two, a hero is a courageous person. They fight against great odds. Sometimes a lot of backlash. Sometimes imprisonment. Sometimes they face death, like the heroes we saw, some of them. So a hero is such like person. But heroes are not just in history, like we have seen. We continue to see heroes today. And when I was growing up, there was a popular song by Whitney. There's a hero in everybody. The older people know that, huh? If I could sing, I could sing. But it's saying there's a hero deep inside of you, deep inside of everyone. So we all have that ability to be brave and courageous and to sacrifice for the common good of community.
Who's your Shujaa and why?
I have many people I would call my Shujaa in the different sectors of community. One of them is Mary Waruguru. Do you know that name? Mary Waruguru? I'll tell you a little about her. Last year, Nakuru witnessed a tragedy. The Solai Dam broke its banks around 8 p.m. in the night, and the water flooded the neighboring village, and many lives were lost. Nearby was a dispensary run by one Mary Waruguru. And as people were clamoring for safety, running in all directions, she opened her clinic and rallied people to bring victims to the clinic. Now, I stopped to think first, if I was at that clinic, dispensary, And I hear in the, pitch darkness of 8 p.m., some clamoring outside, the great sound of water roaring down the hill, coming towards the village. My first instinct would be to lock up and run, like everybody else. But she opened her doors, and she rallied people when she found out what was happening. Bring the victims in. Now, she's not a doctor, but she had learned, she told us, a few years ago, first aid. And she knew how to resuscitate. And she spent the better part of that evening carrying out resuscitation. And as people saw her, they heed her call, and they brought people, children, people suffocating because of mud and water. She carried out resuscitation of many people in that clinic. And she was able to save many lives. And when the president visited Solai, we made sure he recognized her because she forfeited her own personal safety with the little skill she knew. She's not a doctor, but she had learned first aid. And as we know, first aid saves lives. So she was able to save many lives that day and to give others courage. Courage to save lives, courage to run out and get more people and rally vehicles to bring patients, to take patients to hospital. So she's one of my heroes. The late Nobel laureate, Wangari Maathai, she lived in Nakuru for a while, but today, I think just last month, the world was meeting, discussing climate change. And many years ago, 20 years ago, Wangari Maathai told us, nature is very unforgiving. And I think today, we are living it. As heads of state meet to discuss climate change, we cannot forget what Wangari Maathai told us many years ago. She's one of my heroes as well.
Talked about climate change. I wanted to ask, what steps is Nakuru taking to reduce carbon emissions and basically trying to change our planet?
That would be a question very well answered by someone in the ministry, but I know some things that Nakuru is doing. I think in the paper we saw recently when the CS was here and Nakuru was showcasing the manufacturing of fuel using what? Human waste. Yeah? Human waste. And how that translates to environment is that for every bag, say, of charcoal that residents in Nakuru buy, that translates to a number of trees. For a ton of charcoal, they told us, that translates to 18 trees. 18 trees for several kilos of charcoal. And we have to use that every day. Every day, a tree has to be cut so that people can cook their food using charcoal. So one of the things that Nakuru is doing is looking for alternative sources of fuel other than trees. And in as much as we can say, cut one tree and plant two, the trees that we enjoy today are more than 50 years old. So we can't enjoy in our lifetime if we plant a tree today. Our children may, our great-grandchildren may, but if we cut a tree today, it will not benefit us today. The effect is not immediate. And so looking for alternative sources of fuel is one big step to reduce carbon emission. And that affects not just, Nakuru environment, but the whole country at large.
Seeing as we are the future generation and future world leaders, do you have any advice for us?
My first advice is that you're not the future generation. Are you alive? Are you alive? So you're here today. We need you today. In the climate change conference late last month, there was that young girl who was talking to international leaders about climate change. Greta Thunberg went there, 11 years old, and talked to the world about climate change. And she told the leaders, you're not fair to us. We have our lives to live. What sort of environment are you living in for us? On the screen we saw Malala. How old was Malala when she got shot? Have you read her story? Yes. Yeah? She was just a young girl in the school bus, going to school and fighting for education for girls in her country. So number one, don't wait for the future. The future is here. Right now, you have a passion in your heart. There's something you're interested in. And like that singer told us many years ago, there's a hero in each one of us. What school does, and what the next few years of your academic life will do, is that it will equip you with the skills. It will equip you with the knowledge, but it will not put the passion that every hero has or must have. So the passion is there, continue to nurture it, use the school to nurture that passion, and always ask yourself, what is my contribution? What can my contribution be in the world, in the environment that I am in today? Our little girl, Waheto, she feels she has a contribution to make. She feels she needs to encourage others to read by reading to them, and whatever else the teacher says she does. So the future is here, the future is yours. The future begins when? Yeah, you know, I was speaking, what I've said is history, isn't it? So as soon as the next minute, that is the future. And we can embrace it as young people. We have great ideas. This morning I was telling the group I was with that those of us in the older generation, when we get a new equipment, our first instinct is to look for a knob. Because that is how technology worked when we were growing up. And I can see you don't understand what a knob is. Yeah? It was that thing, it was a big round thing. If you wanted to change radio stations, you turned it. Yeah? These days we touch. It doesn't even say, but somehow you guys know you're supposed to touch here, and it works. Make use of that. That you're coming already with. It's like you're wired to deal with solutions, to deal with problems and offer solutions to the world.
As the First Lady of Nakuru, apart from climate change, what steps are you taking to improve the county as a whole?
In the position that I hold today, one of my passions is on education, and I know that there is a large group of young people in this county who have missed out on education for various reasons. And one of the reasons they have missed out on education is because they have special need. Special need could be that they don't see, or they can't walk to the school, or they can't hear, or they require specialized facilities to be able to participate or to gain fully from education. So one of the programs that we are running is to look out for these young people, get them from their homes and take them to institutions that can cater for their special need so that they can also benefit from education. We know that education is an equalizer. It doesn't matter how poor your family is, how rich your family is. It doesn't matter what privilege one has or doesn't have, but once they get education and they're able to translate that education into something meaningful, it can change the world. So I want to leave a legacy in Nakuru where any young person with a special need feels they are well taken care of. They have access to education. And when I meet some of these young people, I am moved. They have ambitions just like you and I. They want to be doctors, some of them, but they have never been to a classroom. So I feel one of the things that I must do is to get these people, these young people, to school.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you for coming to see us today, and thank you for your empowering words and all that you're doing for Nakuru. Can you please have another big round of applause for